Yo, thank you for joining me again today. Today I'm going to be starting at one of three-part series on how to draw a Native American elder. And I'm also going to be showing you how to work white pastel with black charcoal on brown paper and using it as a medium to meet into the middle ground. And ultimately, I want to be able to achieve realistic results with minimal amount of detail. And the way I like to share that with you is by breaking it down, probably over the course of three parts. So please stay tuned and thank you and enjoy. This specific paper is called Cancer Mitienes. This paper holds this specific paper holds charcoal and pastel very well. It is absolutely my number one, without any question. I believe that this product is absolutely perfect for anybody that is getting into charcoal or pastel work, or those of you that may have not even discovered this type of paper yet. But yeah, this is not no sponsorship or anything like that. Just trying to give you guys a little bit of insight into the paper that I'm using, because ultimately it will make a huge difference, when you're working with pastel or charcoal. But anyways, so if you're wondering how I was able to apply this white and black on the brown paper and being able to actually use the paper itself as a means of mid-tone in itself, well, over the past, I would say 10 years or so, I've been working this type of process, and this process is just working my values all the way from my whites to my darkest blacks, and anything in between. I'm using the paper to match the value scale. So, like I said at the beginning, this is probably going to be a three-part series, depending on how long the portrait actually takes me to finish. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just going back over the highlights. I'm just going back over the highlights with the charcoal pencil to kind of do the little push and pull process, which is seeing how much charcoal and brightness I actually need to make sure that it's applied correctly without it being too bright. Because one thing about working this type of medium with the black and the white on colored paper, it could become muddy very fast. And what I mean muddy is mixing the white pastel with the charcoal, and you'll start to create a nasty looking gray color. So ultimately what you want to do is you want to meet in the middle. You want to meet in the middle with your blacks, and you want to meet in the middle with your whites, and utilizing paper as a source of darkness itself. So that's the most fun part of the process, is trying to figure that out. And it could also be the most complicating part of the process too, because even with these years of experience, I still end up in some situations where I'm like, wow, how do I do this? But you know what? You keep continuing to chase it until you catch it, and then next thing you know, you've mastered it. So I always thought that was pretty cool. So during this part, I'm just using my shader as a means to create some depth, so that I don't have to apply any charcoal. This way, the brown is working itself too. But being that the paper is really dark, that already probably, if not already eliminated a lot of my headache. And that headache just being um, having to apply charcoal and keep continuously applying charcoal until I get where I want. So ultimately, it breaks that entire part down almost in half. So what I'm doing is I'm just laying charcoal, going real loose with the direction of the hair, and being mindful that my focal point of this drawing is the face itself, right? So what I'm doing is I'm creating the texture of the hair, but you're probably like, but why is it so dark? I'm gonna explain that to you right now. So then what I do is I just get my white charcoal pencil, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating loose and light strands of hair, right? And these light strands of hair are ultimately going to give the flow of the hair. So you ever heard of that saying, less is more? Well, in this situation, this is exactly what is true. Less is more. You want the charcoal to work for you. You don't want to work for the charcoal, you know? It's just about being able to find that happy medium that you're happy with, you know, and just letting it work itself out. As you can see already, like these little light loose strands of hair are already making a huge difference. And then so wherever you want to lay any brighter hair, all you got to do is just add a little bit more pressure and then go over that line again. And what it's going to do is going to create a bright spot. When you create the bright spots are the hair as it's bending, it's hitting light. So it's going to hit light. There's going to be a brighter area, and then it's going to drop back into like a shadow. So that's what the whole effect is, the effect that you're trying to achieve. And just like so, a little bit of loose hairs right there, just to kind of suggest that there's hair coming out from the headdress. Okay. Now what I could do too is right now it's gonna go in one of those phases where it might just be a little bit of tooth and nail going back and forth right now. So I want to lightly apply some white pastel. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially gonna bring this cheekbone down, which is gonna create a concave. And as I come up to the top of the cheekbone, it's gonna create convex. So look at this charcoal that I'm applying right here. Now I want to start going into the direction of the cheekbone. Right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply just a little bit more charcoal, but at the top right here, and then I'm going to work my way down to where I was just applying that charcoal. But this part has a curve, and then it kind of dips into a triangle. So just being mindful of the shape. Add in a little bit of charcoal, and then ultimately I'm going to come down to meet the black, but without oversaturating one another. Look, it contaminated by getting charcoal in there, so I'm going to flip it into a cleaner part of the tissue, and then I'm going to do the same thing and work my way down. And all that does, it helps you minimize the muddy look of blending the charcoal and the pastel together. And that's what's really going to set your work apart from professional skill is to beginners still, but not to take away from artists that are just beginning or starting out. You know, I definitely been there. You know, and it just takes time. You know, it takes time to develop your skill as an artist, but ultimately, what you want to achieve is gonna be all in with the work that you actually put in. So, yeah, that's probably some food for thought in which I could provide, you know, to those of you that are watching. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm gonna get some charcoal powder. I'm gonna get some charcoal powder, and then I'm gonna put it on this little blue dish. I'm gonna put the big pot of charcoal down, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slightly, you know, just slightly pick up some charcoal, blow it off, and then start to establish some guidelines where I feel like it's missing charcoal. So like right here, these little wrinkles in the head, in the forehead. I mean, essentially, too, what you don't want to do is you don't want to overcomplicate things by, you know, worrying about adding too much or adding too little. Just kind of work with what you feel like is right, or what you could actually um, achieve with the results that you're looking for. You know, as you develop your style, you'll develop like the way that you see things differently than other artists, and that's just all part of the process too. That is all just part of the process. And the reason why I wanted to actually just create like a 3-part series is so that one, the video is not super long, because I understand that people got things to do, but also it could kind of break it up into like a show. I'm hoping for at least, but I mean, if not, it's cool. I'm sure people will find my work useful or educational, maybe sometime in the near future. Um, but yeah, thank you for staying tuned. If you've been tuned in for this long, man, I appreciate you. If you have any questions or anything that you know you like to be answered, just go ahead and hit it in the comment section, and I'll definitely get back to you if you have any questions. Um, I'm trying to ultimately achieve, you know, big success within the YouTube, being a YouTuber. So I know that it's gonna take time, but I'm absolutely fine with that, because everything that's a good thing takes time.